Hey guys, it is Sifra here bringing you the week four. It's only week four. Week four matchup between me and Noah, aka Spocks Theater. This will be, well, I say it will be. I recorded a live comm like I've been doing, but did not pay attention to the volume of the music I was playing in the background, and that was all you could hear. So I gave, beautiful, wonderful commentary, and it's lost forever. So we're stuck with a post-com for this week, and I hope you enjoy it just as well. It's a little different because you miss my live reactions, but because I'm not panicked and trying to figure out how I'm going to win the game, you might be able to get a little, I'm hoping a little bit deeper into my thoughts here as I go through and explain everything. So, again, really excited for this battle. Noah is, well, me and him are the past two champions for the SBL. So, really fun there. Obviously, a really tough opponent. I have actually played him more than anyone else in a draft league format before. And I do prep battles with him, I don't want to say fairly often, but fairly often. It's not a rare occurrence. When we have time, we like to get each other a prep battle. And he kicks my ass in the prep battles more often than not. But when it comes to meeting up with him in actual league play, I am 4-1 against him heading into this battle. So I've got a little bit of a reputation to uphold here. Gotta keep him in his place. Make sure he doesn't get too cocky after too many prep battle wins. So coming into this game, I can explain my team a little bit real quick out the gate. Let's see. So I have Zera Aura here. This is a 4-attack Zera Aura. It's got Volt Switch, Grass Knot, Acrobatics with Flying Gem, because we have all the gems legalized in this league, and Close Combat. And the thought process behind this was I want to Volt Switch to maintain momentum. He has one ground immunity, or one ground type, one electric immunity, and that is Swampert, which he didn't bring. But the thought was I'll try to click Volt Switch, he'll switch into Swampert, and I was worried that he might pair that with a Spadef Roserade. So I would click Grass Knot on the Swampert to catch it. He might scout for that, pivot out into the Roserade, and without this Acrobatics, that is a pretty winning exchange for him, because other than Life Orb Fire Punch, there isn't really a lot that I can do. So with the Acrobatics, I can knock out, I have the attack investment to knock out a 252 HP invested Roserade 100% of the time. If he's defense invested, he could take it, but I'm not expecting a defense invested Roserade at all. It's a little slow of a Zera Aura. It didn't outspeed. He had an Alolan Persian that he didn't end up bringing, but I did not guaranteed outspeed that, because I instead put some EVs into defense so that I could take a defensive Swampert's Earthquake 100% of the time. So Zera Aura is just going to Volt Switch around and try to start chipping at things with the momentum and maintain momentum. In Fernape here, we have Iron Fist, Adamant, Sword Stance in Fernape with Flare Blitz, Mach Punch, and Gunk Shot. Ooh, I hear the ad coming up in this, so I will skip that and we will keep music going. Getting better at this, slowly but surely. Last two videos have had way too many ads from the YouTube playlist I got in them. But, okay, where I was. Is this another fucking ad? What YouTube playlist has 3 ads in a row? This is, okay, I need to find another YouTube playlist. But, in the meantime, Infernape. Sword Stance, Adamant, Infernape, Gunk Shot to hit this Altaria here once it megas. That's a Mega Altaria. And I'm gonna have Swords Dance. I already went through the moveset. The Mach Punch will, with Iron Fist, guaranteed KO a fully offensive Terrakion, which is why we're adamant. We would not be able to outspeed this or this, the Mew or the Zapdos, if they are timid, but I really don't expect to see timid Mew and Zapdos here. We've got Fire Z on it, because we can only really do about 70-ish, again, to Mew and Zapdos. Also with the moveset on it, it doesn't touch Swampert very well. I knew this, and this is why this was such a attempt to be able to hit Swampert with a Grass Knot, but because he doesn't have the Swampert, Infernape is going to be a problem for him. And what I want to do with it is bring it out in the early game, and because it's going to be taking recoil from Flare Blitz, I don't think it can sweep, but I think it should be able to, if I can get up an SD, it can take down a good chunk of his team and leave him weakened for my other offensive Pokemon to clean through him. Speaking of cleaners, we have Nasty Plot, Expert Belt, Thundurus here. Thundurus is going to have Hidden Power, Ice, Focus Blast, and Dark Pulse. It's interesting because it doesn't have Stab, but it's really good coverage against his team. And you can actually see here that I can hit everything super effectively with the right coverage move. So I'm excited about this. It also is naturally faster than everything on his team. So the only things that are really going to cut short a sweep if I get one going with this are a Choice Scarf user. I think Terrakion's a reasonable Choice Scarf bring against me. Because I don't really have good rock switch-ins, and not great fighting switch-ins either. And then the other thing could be a Focus Blast miss that would stop this from sweeping. So if I can, I would love to get the Terrakion and the Empoleon weakened or KO'd before I go for the setup there. Silvally, we're bringing Silvally Ghost, so one, so that a Choice Scarf Close Combat can't run through us. Two, it's a type that can pressure Mew offensively. So I settled on it. This is going to have Defog, Parting Shot, Roar, and a multi-attack, a Ghost-type multi-attack. What I like with it is, one, it offensively scares Mew and Cofagrigus, which he didn't bring. While defensively, with his really heavy defensive bulk, should be able to, even if this Terrakion does go for a Stone Edge or something like that, it should still be able to kind of comfortably pivot in and out. I've got min speed on it so that I can try to get off slow parting shots. And that's kind of going to be a central focus of this, is trying to parting shot out into any of my 3 setup sweepers to aid them in getting a boost off and just being able to start punching holes or cleaning up a team. The Audino, it's Mega Audino with Wish, Protect, Calm Mind, and Dazzling Gleam. The 2 reasons I thought this had to come are, one, I kind of straight up lose to Dragon Dance Altaria without it, but with it, it takes from a +1 Altaria using Return, it has a chance to 4-hit KO. This is Mega Audino. Well, Mega Audino can 2-hit KO in return with Dazzling Gleam if he's not defense invested. At the same time, it's something that should be able to handle Cofagrigus if he wanted to try to use Trick Room to sway me a bit. Oh wow, we got more ads, but I am skipping them this time because I am an all-star. But this is an insane amount of heads. Okay, back to the music, back to the Pokemon. So Audino, I was kind of nervous of... I kind of saw Audino as mandatory. I was nervous about Trick Room Cofagrigus really destroying me. And this thing, with its normal fairy typing, is kind of a perfect typing to not really care about Cofagrigus at all, and could even go as far as trying to set up in its face with Calm Mind. Wish is important on it, because Wish is kind of similar to a slow U-turn in that you can use it to maintain momentum, and the last thing you want from a bulky pivot on an offensive team is for all your momentum to just be sapped out when you go for there. So what I anticipate with him is coming in, clicking Wish, going back out, maybe even using it to keep Silvally healthy, so that I can keep it around longer. And then Venomoth is, he has no 4-time resist to bug on his team, so I can, with Tinted Lens, get a neutral, like perfect neutral coverage against him with just Bug Buzz, which is pretty fun. So I've got Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz, Sleep Powder, and Roost. With enough speed that at +2 I can guaranteed outspeed a Choice Scarf Terrakion. Let's try to get past that. It's actually got Buggy MZ on it. These are my 2 Z users, and they're both bringing Z moves this game, and depending on the situation, I'll determine which one I want to use. I thought about using Insect Plate on this or Expert Belt here, but they both missed out on KOs that I really wanted a chance to get if I didn't run the Z move. So I figured if I saw myself in a situation where I could pick up a KO, I would use the move. If not, on my first one of those 2 that came out, I would just be a little bit more cautious before I use the Z move so that it's still an option on the other one. And then looking at his team real quick, I'm very happy to not see Swampert, very happy to not see Cofagrigus, but all of these are still threats. I'm thinking, just looking at this, I'm thinking this might be maybe a rock set, just some sort of kind of utility set. Altaria, he could either use this as a bulky pivot, or I'm more concerned about a Dragon Dance set, especially Dragon Dance Roost return, and then either Earthquake or probably Flamethrower. If you needed to try to hit my Skarmory, you'd probably want Flamethrower. That set could be a problem for me if I don't keep Audino in good shape. Terrakion, it could be Scarf. Noah typically doesn't love Scarf, so I'm not super thinking this is Scarf, but I'm aware of it. What I'm really concerned about is a double dance set with Rock Polish, Stone Edge, Sword Stance, Close Combat, and Rocky MZ. Because with my lack of rock resists and a very offensive team, if he gets up a Rock Polish, he can do a lot of damage. And again, I really have to rely on the Audino to keep it in check. Again, luckily Dazzling Gleam is super effective on both of these, so it can do a decent job of keeping them in check, but he could definitely put a lot of pressure on Audino to keep me from being overrun. Zapdos. The interesting thing with Zapdos, it defogs pretty well against both of my Rocks users, well, I guess that aren't Infernape. On Seismitoad, if it just runs Discharge and Hidden Power Grass, it can beat Seismitoad, it can beat Skarmory. So if he really prefers to keep rocks off, this is where defog is going to be. The problem with defog, he really wants a third move on there, something like Toxic or Heat Wave or something like that, to do a little better against some of my other Pokemon, like a Vileplume or something like that, which would otherwise wall it. So I don't really think this is going to be the defogger. I'm thinking this is more a 3 attacks Roost defensive set. Roserade, I'm really worried about a specially defensive pivoting set. If he tries, I know that I have the tech to take it out with Acrobatics, but especially if it's heavily Spadef invested, it could be, I really am going to need some prior damage on it before I can sweep with my Thunderous. And then Mew. I feel like the most likely Mew, it's definitely going to have Taunt. It's definitely going to have Roost. I'm thinking either Stealth Rock or Defog in the 3rd slot. And then the 4th slot is some offensive move, depending on what he wants to hit, most likely. We'll see exactly from there. I think, again, kind of like Terrakion, I think a Double Dance set would also be viable if he wasn't a defensive utility set. So I'm wary of that, but I'm expecting a kind of utility Mew coming here. So that was I think a longer breakdown at Team Preview than I really anticipated giving. But we went through it, that was good, and we can get started with the battle. I'm going to lead with Zeraora. And what I'm thinking here is, I think he's going to lead with Altaria. I think he wants the Mega on that. I think he's going to do that first. But I can just get a quick Volt Switch off on whatever he leads with and bring in the proper check. So it's a pretty safe lead for me here. So I'm going to go Zeraora, and he's going to go Zapdos. So I'll just click Volt Switch and see what he's going to do. I'll go into Audino. Because I still have Regenerator, it should be able to take any hit and then pivot back out. And he's going to go for the U-turn. That's interesting. I like it to maintain momentum. It means he's without some of the coverage that I would have thought he might have wanted to have. And that really tells me that basically I'm more unsure about Defog at this point, because I thought he was already starved for move slots before he put U-turn on it. So he goes out into the Mew, and here I'm thinking I 100% go into Silvally, my Silvally Ghost. And the reasoning there is, I think most likely he's coming in to taunt the Audino. If he's not using taunt, then I think he's either going to get up rocks, which then I could defog away, or he's going to use a setup move, and then I could roar him out with Silvally. So Silvally is 100% my play here. I'm not going to Mega. I couldn't Mega anyways, but with Regenerator, I'm going to get that health back, so that's fun. So I'll go out into Silvally, and he does go for the taunt. So my only options here are multi-attack or switching out, and I'm going to stay and go for the multi-attack. He clicks Super Fang here, and I kind of freak out in the chat a little bit, thinking that I screwed up Silvally, because I'd never used Silvally, and I didn't see it saying Silvally Ghost here. Ooh, that was awful to highlight. So I didn't see it saying Silvally Ghost, and I was worried that I had messed up my Silvally, but he reassured me. That was a prediction, thinking that I couldn't afford... I talked to him after the game a little bit. He was thinking I couldn't afford to let in Altaria, and then, because it would get off its Mega and be, and Altaria with Fairy typing is a lot tougher to deal with offensively than the pre-Mega'd, or than the Altaria prior to having it Mega'd. But I just, I only care so much about if it Megas, and actually Infernape needs it Mega to be able to hit it super effectively with Gunk Shot, so I don't really mind giving it the Mega. So I'm just going to keep firing off multi-attack. He is going to make the switch this time, and I'm going to Parting Shot on this turn. Thinking here, if he sets up, I can at least make him back down to neutral when I go back out into my Audino. And if he fires off attack, I will take the brunt of it, and I can pivot out depending on what he does and start trying to set up. So he goes for the Hyper Voice, which says to me this is a defensive utility set, which I'm excited about because I did not want to deal with Dragon Dance. But it is a little bit annoying, in part because it's a good Zeraora switch in. My Zeraora does not have coverage for this, and because I probably need to get a substantial amount of chip for an Expert Belt plus 2 Hidden Power Ice to guarantee a KO. Whereas if it were an offensive variant, it would probably be fine and knocked out from full. I haven't done any calc on that actually, so I don't know for sure. But just off the head calc, I don't see it taking that. So I parting shot out here into Venomoth. I think Venomoth was the play because a defensive. It doesn't. It's probably so. It's probably going to have Roost, 2 attacks. So it's Fairy attack, maybe Flamethrower. But even with Flamethrower, I should be able to Quiver Dance pretty safely on it. So I figure here I can start Quiver Dancing up. We'll see what his move is. And from there we can determine if we want to go for multiple Quiver Dances or just one and start trying to punch holes. So we're going to throw up 1 Quiver Dance right off the bat. And here, I know I'm definitely not going to 1-hit KO it, but depending on his set, I might be able to 2-hit KO it with a Bug Buzz. So I'm going to go for the Sleep Powder here, hoping that I can get 2 turns of sleep and come out of this in a really good position with a full health boosted Venomoth. So I'm going to go for the Sleep Powder, and I'm going to connect on it, and he's going to sleep. I'm going to use Bug Buzz, and it is going to do a pitiful amount of damage, even with the Tinted Lens boost. And that says to me this is, again, didn't run calcs on it. I probably should have my calculator more handy for this, but that says to me that is not a lot of damage. That's got to be AV. And the fact that he's going to wake up and go for a Drill Peck, I don't see Drill Peck. I don't see Drill Peck as a bring on an Empoleon unless you are trying to figure out what move you want to put in your last move slot on your Assault Vest Empoleon, because there's too many utility moves to ignore otherwise. So Drill Peck's going to do 52. That's a shame with my Bug Buzz. I think about going for the Z move here, but it's not going to take it out anyways, judging by the initial Bug Buzz damage, so I think I'm better served keeping my Firium Z on the Infernape. So I'm going to Roost here, thinking maybe he'll mix it up and go for a Liquidation, trying to anticipate Zeraora coming in, or Thunderous on Resist. But he's just going to Drill Peck again. And on the next turn, I am going to make the switch out to Zeraora, trying to catch him on the Drill Peck. And he does go for the safe Drill Peck. Now here, I think about this one for a little bit. I have 2 moves that hit this super effectively. I can Volt Switch and keep up my momentum, or I could go for a Close Combat. And really it depends on what Pokemon he's going to bring in. I would go for Close Combat if I think he might pivot out into Roserade, because I could get off the Close Combat, stay in, and because it's his pivot, I don't expect to double, and then could try hitting it with the Acrobatics. If I anticipated something else wanting to come out, then Volt Switch is the play so that I can keep up my pressure on it. Especially having seen a defensive Altaria Mega, I think the play here is to Volt Switch. But that's not what I did. I decided to make the aggressive play in real time during the battle, and I'm going to go for the Close Combat, trying to catch it, but he goes right back out into the Altaria here. And that's a little annoying because I'm going to give his Altaria a Roost here on the turn now that I Volt Switch. Of course, I Volt Switch out to Audino, which is kind of a blanket check for this. And he's going to use Roost. Now on this turn, this is another turn I don't like the play I make. My options here, really, there's 2 real options here. I can Wish, which is kind of like a slow U-turn, because whatever he goes out into, I can switch into it under Wish, and if he doesn't KO it, then it gets its health back, and it's basically the same as if I had a slow U-turn. The other option here is to reveal Calm Mind, and see if he decides, hey, you know what, I can try to beat down this Audino with my defensive Altaria Mega. Wow, that sounds even stupider when I say it out loud. I can try to beat down this Audino with my defensive Altaria Mega. If he decides that, then I can start boosting with Calm Minds on him. The biggest problem with that is the Calm Mindset actually looks pretty good against his team if I can get rid of the Roserade. But he's going to be more cautious with it if he knows that that's the only thing on his team. that can keep from losing to a Calm Mind Audino. So on this turn, I really wish that I had clicked Wish, but I'm going to click Calm Mind here. The one benefit from that is because I did start boosting, it kind of limits his opportunity to make big moves, because when you start boosting, you kind of force your opponent to hold their attention to the fact that you've been boosting up. So I feel pretty confident he's going for a Sludge Bomb here to hit this super effectively, just because you don't want to play around with a Pokemon that's boosting up right in front of you. So I'm going to go out into Venomoth to take the Sludge Bomb. And that 36%, it takes a lot of damage there. That's enough to tell me that this is, if not fully, a very offensively invested Roserade. And what... This is, again, I don't know the play he would have made if I had a Wish Up. He might have been more aggressive, and he probably has Hidden Power Fire on. I bet this is Technician with Hidden Power Fire. That probably would have been his play if I had the Wish Up to keep Venomoth from coming in and getting its health back. Who knows? But if the same exchange had happened and I had used Wish, then I could have a lot more health and have a threatening Venomoth again. But as is, I'm just going to come in and go for damage. I would also get a nice... Because I have speed on Venomoth, but not max speed. And I could get a sense of how much speed was on his Roserade, on if it outsped or didn't outspeed, so I could get a sense of how much bulk it had on it. But he's going to go out into what I can only describe as his designated Venomoth check and take a 19% and KO me with Aqua Jet. I actually went for the Sleep Powder there, because be proud of me, I ran a calc and found that I actually needed 2 more Bug Buzzes to get this in range of my Dark Pulse. So I went for the Sleep Powder to try to get 2 of them. I'm just going to Aqua Jet, that's a good play. It gives me 0 aura, and this time I'm just going to click Volt Switch here and keep up the pressure. And we're going to go right back out into Audino because it's a pretty good check. We're going to throw up our Wish as he goes out into Mew. And this is good because the Mew set he's shown looks vulnerable to Silvally. So I'll be able to go pretty quickly right back out to Silvally. I'll be able to go back out to Silvally here. And presumably get my health back. I'm not sure if he'll taunt, but I've got multi-attack. It's stab, super effective move. And he's just playing with fire as long as he stays in there begging me to get a crit, honestly. So I'm really happy to have this exchange here, have him go into Mew here, so that I can get the health back on Silvally, so that it can continue to stay around. So we're going to go into Silvally. He's just going to Roost, get back up to full health. That actually is a shame, because that's going to get him out of the range of +2 Infernape's Flare Blitz, which was really nifty because, you know, I only get 1 try at a Z move. It gives him the opportunity to bait the Z move, switch out, and then come back in and be able to take a hit when he's at full from here. So it makes my Infernape a little less threatening now that he's gotten his health back on this. And I had 2 plays here. I could either go for multi-attack if I thought he was going to taunt me, or I could go for Parting Shot if I felt he wasn't going to taunt. I felt I didn't really lose anything from the attempt at Parting Shot, and I didn't think he wanted to give me chip on his Mew. So I'll go for the Parting Shot, and he'll come out into Zapdos. I am going to bring out Infernape here. Reasoning here, 1, I can go for a Swords Dance on the Zapdos. I don't think it really has good coverage for Infernape. The worst thing it would do is either get a get a Discharge Para or a Toxic on it. just to set me on a timer. I think he might even switch out if he's afraid of a Stone Edge, which is a very viable bring if I was a 4 attacks Infernape against his team, to help deal with Zapdos a little better. But I'm gonna go for the Swords Dance here, and he's gonna stay in, and he's gonna click Discharge, and we are going to pray, and we're not gonna be parried. So there's a good 70-30 roll coming out in our favor on that one. This next turn, and I'll go back to that point where we're looking at it. Where was that? Okay, so here I am SDing again. This next turn is going to be a really important one. You'll see he switches out. I have 2 options here. I can go for Swords Dance, and if I don't get parried again, I will be able to one-hit KO anything on his team with the appropriate coverage move. 100% unless he's like Chople Berry on Terrakion. Although taking the extra damage from the discharge would be annoying because I am going to have to rely on Flare Blitz at some extent. And so I would probably go down to my recoil if I did that and he stays in and clicks Discharge. At this point, he's kind of on the edge of the Flare Blitz range, and I really don't want to get a static para if I go for Flare Blitz. So my other option would be to click Inferno Overdrive. And, just kind of start punching holes. And that's ultimately what I'm going to do because, like I said at the beginning of this, Infernape isn't here to sweep, it's here to set up and take as many Pokemon down with it as it can in the amount of time it has, so that my other Pokemon can clean up in the late game. He is going to read this and go sack off his Empoleon on my Z move, which is a great play on his part, and it kind of hurts even though we get the KO. It kind of hurts because in SD there, I don't even take the damage from the discharge. I'm at 65%. I can Mach Punch this to death. I can Mach Punch this to death. I can Inferno Overdrive this. He's down to 1 Pokemon, best case scenario, if I click SD on that turn. But I don't because it would have been really aggressive and I don't think I quite need that. So we take the Inferno Overdrive, we take out Empoleon, we come into Terrakion. He did not go incredibly quickly out to Terrakion. In my mind, if this is a Scarf Terrakion, it's coming out pretty quickly. It didn't come out quickly. I think he might be going for the speed tie in this case, honestly. But the fact that it comes out at all makes you think it might be Scarf. Either way, that doesn't really matter because, one, we are, we don't outspeed max speed base 100s with the Adamant Infernape. And then, 2, we're clicking Mach Punch. Anyways, that's our move to hit this. And like I said at the start of this video, Mach Punch is... It does a min of 100.3% to a fully offensive Terrakion. So it's not a roll if he is, 252 EVs. If he has some defensive EVs, he can live this. And I'm going to click Mach Punch, and we're going to take him out. And that is awesome. I talked with him after the battle about the sets exactly. And that ended up being about an 81% chance to KO. So it's not, it's not absolutely crazy that I got the KO, but, I wasn't parried. I get the 80% on the Mach Punch. Things are going in my favor. I've put myself in really good position so far, and the percentage plays that should be going in my favor are going in my favor. And he comes out with Mew. We already have seen Taunt, Superfang, and Roost. I really think this last move is Defog or Stealth Rock or maybe even Infestation. That's a move that you see sometimes on this Mew set. And I think I could, if I really wanted to, go for that last SD right here. But same mentality as earlier. I am here to take down as many Pokemon as I can, not to sweep. And if he does pop me with a surprise Psychic or something like that on a turn where I SD, I am going to be kicking myself. So I'm just going to go for the Flare Blitz here, and it's going to do about 80%, which is great. But he's going to roost off that damage, which is a really smart play by him, make me go down to my own Flare Blitz. I was prepared for him to sack the Mew, because he just has to pick a sack at this point, and I'll kill myself with the Flare Blitz damage. I thought it was going to be Mew because of how difficult it was for it to deal with Silvally. But he's going to give me the Zapdos, which I actually really prefer, because I don't think I really have great options for it on Zero Aura. Don't have great options for bringing it down on Silvally. I've got Hidden Power Ice on Thundurus for it, and I can try boosting up in its face with Audino, but that one might have been a little bit of a pain. Probably not probably on par with Mew in terms of how much of a pain it is, but the fact that I have a really excellent switch into that Mew makes me a little happier to see that it's still in the game, and he chose to give me a different Pokemon as a sack. So here I'm going to go Zero Aura. Thought process here is I can Volt Switch on either of these, and I have a really good hard check with Audino and Silvally for Altaria and Mew respectively. And, you know, maybe this is the time that he goes Roserade and I can get that super awesome Acrobatics kill. But no, he's going to go out and do an Altaria Mega. So I'll Volt Switch. I'll Volt Switch out into the Audino. He can go for a Hyper Voice, do another about 25%. And I can use my quote-unquote slow U-turn Wish to try to keep pressure on him. So on this, I have two options here. I'm not going to stay in. I could Protect. I'm not going to do that. Because I have a Wish up, I should use it. My aggressive play, I can go into Zero Aura. Zero Aura has a favorable roll to live against a Leaf Storm. Anything else, it's going to take it. It has a favorable roll with Leaf Storm. So in my mind, I'm thinking, this Roserade, my team, you don't really need grass coverage against it. The only thing it's really great for is Seismitoad, and I don't think this is super afraid of Seismitoad in the first place. What I'm really expecting this to have is Sludge Bomb, Hidden Power Fire, Synthesis, and something like Toxic or Stun Spore, depending on if he was afraid of Venomoth or if he was afraid of Thundurus or something like that coming in. So I don't really think he has Leaf Storm, but if I lose my Zero Aura here, when I'm still concerned that this could be like a bulkier offensive set, that I would need the Acrobatics to be able to take down, I'm going to be really mad at myself if I throw it out to a high roll Leaf Storm. So I am going to be a little more safe, and I'll go Silvally. And from there, he attacks the Silvally, I'll get my health back with Wish. I can pivot out with Parting Shot. And when I pivot out with Parting Shot, I should... One, it's slow. It's my super slow Parting Shot. So I could pivot out and then go into the Zero Aura if he stays in and be in a good spot to hit the Acrobatics there. And if he switches out when I go with the Parting Shot, then I can probably just go for setup with Thundurus. So I'm going to make that Silvally switch so that I can fire off a slow parting shot the next turn and respond accordingly. And he reveals Growth, which is really cool. I did not think of this as a setup offensive threat at all. This is the kind of thing that really catches you off guard in the late game and can make you lose a game that you feel like you're winning. So I feel my play here is the slow parting shot. I can absorb a hit from it. I can switch out, knock its stats back to where they were, go into 0 aura, and unless he's got, because I already know he's got offensive investment, and I can take it out if it's full HP with no defense investment. So unless this is a very weirdly offensive Roserade with defense investment not coming, then I'll be able to take it out. And crisis averted. So I am going to click Parting Shot here, and he is going to switch to the Altaria. And I talked to him a little bit about this play in particular after the game. He felt that me getting Chip on Roserade would be very valuable for me. And I think part of that assumption is the fact that I don't have anything, presumably, that takes it out from full. Just because I have a really weird 0 aura that does, that probably wouldn't be on the mind, so I can see that. And he also said that he had heavily considered Substitute on this Roserade set, and if he had subbed on my Parting Shot, I would have been in a bad position. And that's almost him putting too much faith in me to be 100% on top of every situation that's happening. Because I definitely didn't think about sub on Roserade at that point. I was like, oh, Growth, that's really cool. So it's probably Growth, Hidden Power, Fire, Sludge Bomb, Synthesis. But if it was Substitute, that could have been not great. I don't lose or anything to it if he puts off the Substitute, but it definitely gets him in a really good position where I just kind of have to start clicking multi-attack. Just keep clicking multi-attack to make sure he doesn't leave it with a Substitute, and then I'll be able to revenge with 0 aura. But that's all hypotheticals, because anticipating a multi-attack to get Chip, he's going to go out into his Mega Altaria, and I'm going to Parting Shot. And I think this is a great opportunity for me to try to set up with my Thundurus. This is in good position for Hidden Power Ice. It's weak enough. Earlier I talked about how, because it was kind of a bulky one, I wanted to get it chipped down enough so that I felt comfortable going for the Hidden Power Ice against it to knock it out at +2 with an Expert Belt. And I'm feeling good about this. Again, didn't run any calcs, but I feel like this is the range. Mew should also be in range of Dark Pulse, and I'm not totally sure on the Roserade because I'm not sure if it's spread. But this is a free nasty plot right here. Best thing he can do is go for the Hyper Voice, and because of the Parting Shot, that's not going to do a lot. Now here, if he had Bulk on Roserade, then I did need another nasty plot potentially to be able to clean through it with Hidden Power Ice, but I don't want to risk the I don't want to risk a crit or something wild happening. And he basically, if he is max speed, max special attack, my Hidden Power Ice is going to do a minimum of 122% to Roserade. So he needs significant amounts of bulk in the right place to stand a chance here. So I'm going to go for Hidden Power Ice and just see if I can clean him up here. So we take down the Mega Altaria. LeBron comes back in, and we're going to take out LeBron, Haunts You, the Roserade, and we're going to be able to finish this off with Dark Pulse coming through on the Mew. So this was a really fun battle to have. I was kind of the opinion coming into it that I needed to make it a shorter battle. I'm actually almost a little bit surprised that it went so favorable, and we hit beyond turn 30, just because his team is a lot better built for a knockdown drag out longer battle, which is why I brought some variant of setup spam. I'm really excited to see Silvally put in a little bit of work. I've always felt that its best attributes are using it as either a situational defogger, so that if you really need to keep rocks off the field, you can have it as a type that does a good job at beating the other person's rocker and defogging away, but then also as a parting shot pivot, where you kind of pick the typing based off a type that is pretty comfortable to switch in on a lot of things and can get off slow parting shots to give setup sweepers an opportunity to get going. And that's exactly what we saw here right now. And I'm really thrilled that my first attempt using Silvally went so well. It's worth noting that the teams that we built for this one, it really favored me at team preview. And this is not me downplaying things. This is not me making excuses for Noah or anything like that. But the fact that I brought what I brought and he didn't have Swampert especially, but even some bulk like Escavalier or even like Cryogonal might have been able to carry its weight a little bit in this battle. Maybe not as much, actually, looking at it. But Escavalier and Swampert especially could have been thorns in my side as things that I really needed to weaken a little further in order to get that sweep I got at the end. I can't remember if I mentioned this. I did talk to Noah, and this did turn out to actually be a Scarf Terrakion. So the 81% roll that I got on that Mott Punch was huge, because Scarf Terrakion would have been able to keep Thunderous from ever managing to get a sweep like this, because it could always revenge it after it got one kill, and that really would have put a damper on things, and I probably would have had to rely on Audino as the main win con in that situation, which, judging by his growth Roserade, might not have gone so great for me. As always, it was a really good battle against Noah. He always brings... There's always some really cool stuff, like, Drill Peck on the Empoleon, growth on the Roserade, but his teams are always so well constructed, and it's really satisfying to pull off a win against him, especially because it really feels like it's like kicking down a sandcastle. Someone put so much effort into it, and I don't know, something satisfying about destroying that in front of them. But good week 4 match. This puts me at 3-1 in the league for season 4. 3-1 plus 12 now differential wise. So that's going to put us near the top of the pack, maybe even at the top of the division, or at the top of the A-team conference, depending on how the rest of this week shakes out. I really need to come up with kind of like a cool signing off thing, but thanks for watching. I have no idea how long this turned out. I think it actually turned out a little longer than I expected it to. Thanks for watching. I'll rub it in Noah's face one last time that I'm now 5-1 against him in official league play. Just throwing that out there because I'm a dick, and that's what you do to people when you beat them. You rub it in their face, right? I think that's a good way to end it. Let's leave it like that. I am a dick, and I will see you next time.